Okay, so we've had the lesson, the accountability lesson, and we've seen the lesson in action. So let's now have the conversation of how I got to that lesson in the first place. I did not start with asparagus. Asparagus was just the most recent example, and the gardening tie in to the lesson. Long term thinking changes everything. So that actually happened in my 6 years of rebuilding my life while I got sober and doing all the things to learn the things. So I would stop burning it down and start learning from my mistakes, because we always make mistakes, right? Everyone does. We're human. That's human nature to make mistakes. What separates a lesson from a failure is, what did I learn? How did I grow? So the piece of the long-term thinking that started about 6 years ago when I was contemplating going back to school. I had tried so many times to finish my bachelor's degree. I had my associates. I just could never seem to get that last piece of my bachelor's in place. And I was at the time at a very critical crossroads, and I didn't have a job, and I was burning at epic levels. And someone said something to me. They said, what's the barrier? What's the problem? Why aren't you doing this? And I said, it's going to take me 10 years. I can't take more than one class at a time, given my current structure. And that's going to take forever. I still need, I think at the time it was like 18 classes. I was like, it's going to take me like a decade to finish this. And she was like, okay, but a decade from now, the decade's still gone by. A decade is still passed. 10 years has still gone by and you don't have a degree. So who cares how long it takes you? Wow. Okay. Yeah. A decade is going to pass whether I'm doing this or not. So might as well do it. And if it bottoms out, it bottoms out. But I tried. And I really feel that is my superpower. That has always been my superpower, is that I don't quit. I don't quit. I keep coming back. I keep trying again. I stand up 8 times after I fall down 7. And this was no exception to that. So the exception this time, the lesson that I learned with this, was not just to try again, to do the thing, but to plan, to be intentional. What does my 5 years look like right now? So if I'm going to be doing this for a decade, how can I best support it so I have the best shot at actually getting there? And I broke it down. So it was these hard classes that I really struggle with. One of them was an accounting class, and it was just, I took it twice before and just could never seem to get it. And talking with my friend, we isolated the problematic classes that I really was going to have a hard time with and have to put my full effort into. And I took only those classes for a semester. So like I took no other classes this semester that I took my accounting class. And the other classes that I thought I might not struggle with so hard, I scheduled 2 at a time. So maybe I could knock out 2 and that would be easier to accomplish the task. And maybe it won't take 10 years, maybe it'll only take 8. So that was the plan. That was the long-term plan. And in the process of figuring that out, it occurred to me, like, what other things am I not doing because it takes too much time? So get the job. What do I need to do with the job? All right. So I did ship shopping for a while, and then put in my applications, put in my resume at every temp agency I could find. And I eventually got a traffic clerk position at a warehouse that was 40 minutes from my house, which was not great. And it was 3rd shift, which is also not great. But it enabled me to be home for the kids during the day. And my mom helped get kids where they needed to be. And I accepted help. I admitted I can't do this on my own. And I reached out and I made it work. But that long-term plan started with, what needs to happen? What is the intention? What am I trying to accomplish? And ultimately, my 5-year plan evolved over the course of a couple weekends of intentionally plotting out what I want my life to look like. In 5 years, where do I want to be? So that's what started it. And now we are 6 years later. I did get that degree. I actually just graduated in December of 25. So my 5-year plan went faster than I thought it would. And it did not, in fact, take me a decade. And it was hard. And it was a lot of, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm sick of missing sleep. I'm sick of not seeing stuff, not having my friends around, not having the social interactions. it was hard. It was very hard. And it took a lot of times of saying no to things I wanted to do because I needed to do homework instead. And it paid off. I got the degree. So now we're working on a new 5-year plan. But I haven't quite realized that yet because there's a lot of pieces and I'm not entirely sure what I want my next 5 years to look like or what I want to be, where I want to be in 5 years. But I do know that once I finished my 5-year plan and I check marked the 5 or 6 things that were on it, the degree just being one of them, the sense of satisfaction of actually executing a plan and looking at my life and saying, oh my God, that dream I had 5 years ago of who I wanted to be, I'm her. I am that person. I became that person. I intentionally decided who I wanted to be, and then I became that person. So maybe you aren't sure what you want your 5 years from now person to look like, but it's never a bad time to start thinking about it and putting some things in place. So don't hesitate. Get your long-term planning in effect, right? If you have any suggestions on what I should be doing with my life, I would be open to them. Not that I will necessarily listen. I don't listen to a lot of people. Sorry. I don't even listen myself sometimes, but I'm working on it. And that's why we're here having the conversation. But I'd love to hear what your guys' 5-year plans are and what your goals are. That might give me some inspo. I appreciate it. So until next time.